Good morning, friends. Okay, today is Monday. It is the first Monday after Christmas, and I want to tell you, today we're going to talk about our 100 days challenge. I'm going to tell you what that's all about and give you a little coaching on how to go through it. But I wanted to tell you about this week. I used to think about this week as the week after Christmas, before Thanksgiving. I used to call it Dead Week. And I used to always think, oh, nothing really ever gets done, or it's kind of a weird week because, a lot of people are either out of town, business wise, it's that way. It's usually a little quieter. But I started looking at this week as great preparatory week for what's about to hit us in 2022. So I want you to think about this week. A lot of you teachery types are off work. Hi, Holly. So you have a little extra time. Holly's retired, so she's got all the time in the world to get prepared. So going into 2022, we're going to be talking about habits and how to create good habits. And we have our little challenge coming on. So I want you to think of this week as an awesome time to get prepped and start a lot of thinky time. Thinky time is super important. In fact, I actually schedule myself for some thinky time. So I can just think through some thoughts that flit through my head and give them some time and develop them and decide if it's a direction that I want to go or what kind of effort I want to put into whatever it is I'm thinking about. Usually they're programs for you guys and things like that. Okay, so when we head into, I know you guys have heard, because Sarah's been posting about our 100 days challenge. And so I'm going to give you a little explanation what it's about and how to go out about it effectively. So what we're going to do is we are going to, for 100 days, because Sarah is going to create a little printable for us. I think she's already created it. I'm not sure if it's in the playbook yet. I forgot to ask her, but she'll get that up lickety split under the January tab in the playbook. Sorry, I have breakfast in my gum. And she's going to give you a printable that you can print out this little sheet and you'll have 100 boxes you can check off because you know how checking things off feels. It feels amazing. And there's actually a neurotransmitter in your brain. It's a little chemical in your brain that fires off when you check something off that list or you check that box where you are giving yourself like a little reward. It's a dopamine hit. Dopamine it's like a drug. It's basically what happens when people do drugs. They get this dopamine sensation or surge, and it's your feel-good hormone. Right? Technically, it's not a hormone. It's a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical in your brain. And when we're setting goals and when we're achieving goals and when we're taking each tiny little step to get those goals, good morning, Cheryl, we want to make sure that we check that box and we celebrate creating that new habit along the way, because what the brain perceives as a celebration, as excitement, as something good, it wants to continue doing over and over again. That's how habits are created. So this 100 days challenge is going to be 100 days of reaching toward a goal through tiny habits that will knock all your other dominoes down. I know that sounds confusing, but we're going to back that up. What I want you to do is I want you to think about, this is your thinky time. I want you to think about what is it that is like the number one thing you could change that would help your health, your fitness, your strength, just your life in general, your organization, your level of chaos in your life. It doesn't all have to be fitness related. In fact, I'm kind of considering having a couple of different compartments for myself. And I'll explain that a little bit later too. But I want you to think about the overarching thing. Now, the example that I've been using is for most of us, good nutrition. Now, don't say this doesn't have to be your thing at all, but good nutrition is going to be, it's about 80% of the equation. If you're trying to get lean and ripped and strong and look great and feel the best you can feel, good nutrition is the way to go. And usually what I hear people say is they're like, I want to eat better. So that's the goal, is they want to eat better. But what we need, as you guys are going to find out in our goal setting workshop on January 8th, is that we need to do better than better. We need to define that and be more specific. What does better look like? Now, I'm going to use this example because this is something that I'm going to be working on. So I'm starting to look at myself as like a deeper level of nutrition. I've kind of strayed away. I eat well, but I've strayed away from my deeper level of like really digging in well to micronutrients, how many nutrients I'm getting, and really quality foods that support my body. So that's something that I'm going to be focusing on. It's not necessarily about the fat loss, which will come, But for me, it's more about the deep level of nutrition. For some of you, it might be fat loss. That's totally fine. So no judgment on your goal, whatever it is. We're going to help you wean this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at that overarching thing. I want to feel better in my body. I want to have more energy. I want to sleep better. I want to not be so achy in my joints. And I just want to glow. I want to feel like I glow from the inside. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't necessarily care about the glowing on the outside, but I want to feel like I glow from the inside because my nutrition is so good. Okay, so where do I start with that? So what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to suggest you do this, you take this bigger goal that you have and you're going to break it down into 3 pieces. And we can break it down even more because we could do this all year long if we want. But for now, I'm going to break it down into 3 pieces. And they're going to be, we're going to do 30-day sprints. So out of our 100 days, we are going to do 30-day sprints. So we're going to pick 3 30-day sprints. So in my overarching goal of this deep nutrition, I'm going to pick what 3 things can I affect, what 3 habits can I create that will really help this deeper level of nutrition for me. Okay. The number 1 is sugar, as Sarah already told everyone, is I really need to eliminate the sugars in my plan. So I think that is probably the most effective one. I'm going to start with that one. I'm going to eliminate the sugars. And by doing that, now we can even take that down and partition it into smaller specks. So am I going to get rid of, this is a common question we get when we do our sugar detox. Is this all sugars? Is this added sugars? Is this fruit sugars? What kind of sugars is it? It's up to you. It's totally up to you. For me, I am going to start with added sugars. And then as I go and I create these better habits, then I will start to eliminate, maybe not like all fruit sugars, but I'll eliminate maybe if I'm using coconut sugar or some kind of date sugar or something like that. I'm going to start eliminating maybe maple syrup. Sometimes I use to sweeten things. Maybe I'll start eliminating that so that my taste right off the get-go, I'm not going cold turkey, but I'm kind of working my way into weaning myself into not needing sugar. Okay, and then maybe it turns into whites. Maybe then it's I'm taking out the whites that are creating a sugar response in my body, the white breads, white flours, things like that. Okay, so my first step is going to be sugars. My second step is probably going to be digging a little deeper into getting more vegetables on my plate, like a variety of vegetables. So I have this really good, rich access to tons of different nutrients. And then the third step for me, so my third sprint, will be diving into my supplements. And what I'm going to do is I've been doing hair analysis, and I'm going to take my my next test in 3 months so that I'm working toward having a better result than my first hair analysis. So that brings me to a point that having a measurement tool is excellent for that, because I'm going to be able to see what I did last fall and then making these concentrated changes. I know exactly what foods I need to support my system now because of that hair analysis. And so now I'm going to really work on adding those in month 2 after I knock out the sugar. And then month 2, my second sprint is going to be adding a lot of those foods in. Then my third sprint is going to be really good at adding in my supplements that I know I need to be taking and haven't been as consistent. Okay. Those are my 3. Yours could be getting in extra workouts. It could be extra steps. It could be, and we totally will help you with this. That's the point of this video, is we're going to help you kind of like unpack how to break down these 30-day sprints to get this ultimate goal. But the important part is to reverse engineer. Start with your ultimate goal. If it's 20 pounds, okay. If I want to lose 20 pounds, let's take Kathy Prummer. I know that's her goal. I think she's got 20 or 30 she wants to lose by May. So Kathy will take a look and she'll say, okay, what's the biggest thing here that's probably holding me back from that goal? Most of us know what our biggest thing is. And then we'll take that big thing and say, hey, how can I break that big thing down into smaller parts, maybe 3 smaller parts? Okay, so maybe Kathy needs to be doing more fasted walking. Maybe she needs to be, I know we just did her body fat. Sorry, Kathy, to throw this example of you out here without any warning. We just did her body fat. She's doing awesome. But what we did determine is that she is building muscle, but we're going to now that she's dropped a bunch of weight and a bunch of fat, how much? She's dropped like 9% body fat, I think. And like 16 pounds of fat. I can't even remember it, but it's a lot. You can correct me there in the comments if you want to, Kathy. But we've noticed that she's increased some muscle, but now that she's shed a lot of that fat, we're going to shift her focus to building muscle. So Kathy that might be a great example for her, is to really focus on building muscle, because that's going to stoke her metabolism so that she can do the Spartan race, something like that, because that's going to build muscle, it's going to build strength, it's going to boost her metabolism. When she does the Spartan race 30 pounds lighter, it's going to be so much better. So how is she going to build that muscle? Is she going to start doing some strength training on her off days here at the studio? Is she going to lift heavier weights? Maybe we need the protein. I know protein is one. So I would suggest for Kathy that she really start digging into that protein. Maybe month 1 for her is protein. And really, maybe protein seems insurmountable. Like, I don't even know how to get enough protein. Maybe what Kathy does is she dials in protein for just breakfasts for the first 30-day sprint. Then the next 30-day sprint, she's going to stack. We're doing habit stacking. She's going to stack on top of that. Now she's got her protein at breakfast dialed in. She's good at this. She knows what foods to go to. Now she's going to stack on top of that enough protein at lunch. And then the third time, maybe she's stacking on enough protein at dinner. And then after 30 days, she's built this stacking. My goals are all a little bit different, but you could do it this way. You could take the one goal of protein and break it down into tiny steps that make it very achievable, okay? And that is the whole goal, is that we're trying to break down a big goal into smaller steps to make it achievable. And then on top of that, we're going to attach the reward of checking off your little box, right? And who knows, because Sarah and I might have prizes along the way. So that's what we call habit stacking. This month, some of you have signed up for it. You'll find it in your playbook. We have for you a habit stacking guide. It's a little guide that we made up that just talks about how to do habit stacking. I can put a link to it in the comments here as well, but it should be in your playbook. At least by January, but I'm sure that Cassara will get on it right away if it's not already there. I didn't check. And so you could go check out the habit stacking guide and just read how it works to stack habits. But the concept is take a small habit, get really good at that habit so it's just second nature and it's not something you have to think about on a daily basis, and then add another habit. And then do the 2 habits, and then add another habit. Statistics show that when you are trying to increase or improve your habit 1 habit at a time, you're 85% more likely to be successful. When you do 2 habits at a time, like brand new habits, not the stacked ones, but brand new habits, you're 55% chance to be successful. And when you try to do 3 things at once, you're only 10% likely to be successful. So I know it seems like it's slow, but the idea is we're going to slow down to speed up our results. Okay. So I want you to be thinking about that. Another thing that we're going to talk about real briefly here is how to set a habit properly. Okay. This is really important. Once you take your big goal, then you break it down into 3 steps. Then we need to break that down even farther into tiny habits. How am I going to achieve those habits, and how am I going to overcome obstacles? So there's 4 things necessary to create a good habit. That is 1, set the habit and break it into tiny pieces. So let's say water drinking is your goal. I use this one a lot. Let's say water drinking is your goal. And you're terrible at drinking water. First of all, we need to find the obstacles. What are the obstacles to you drinking water? Do you not have a good water bottle? Do you not have a reminder set? What is it that gets in your way? Do you just get too busy? Do you need like a water backpack so you don't have to have a water bottle? What's the main obstacle? Find the obstacles in any time you're trying to create a new habit or set a goal. The obstacles will get you every time if you haven't spent some thinking time trying to identify them and then creating a workaround. And again, we will totally help you with this. You just throw out those habits and we'll help you try to see it from another perspective. But let's say it's water. You're going to break that down. Let's say you want to eventually get to drinking a gallon of water a day. And you're just like, that's crazy because I don't even drink a cup of water a day. Let's start with 1 water bottle a day. Okay. So we broke that big gallon goal into a smaller habit. It's 1 water bottle a day. And then we need a trigger. What's going to remind me to drink that water bottle in 1 day? Maybe it is the clock. You're going to set an alarm every 3 hours. Did you drink? Let's say maybe you're doing this 4 times a day. Did you drink a quarter of that 20-ounce water bottle in that quarter of the day? Okay, so maybe every 3 hours I drink 5 ounces of water. Is that right? 4 times 5. Yes. Did I drink 5 hours of water or 5 ounces of water in the last hour? Okay, set a clock. Maybe it's a first thing in the morning kind of trigger. I do this first thing in the morning. Maybe it's right before dinner. Maybe it's right before bed. Maybe it's as soon as I'm off work, I do this thing, whatever it is. So we have to have a trigger. We have a goal or we have a habit. We break it down to a tiny piece. Then we need a trigger. Okay. So that's number 2. Set yourself a trigger. How am I going to remember this? Okay. Number 3 is to complete the habit. If it's tiniest form, even if my trigger is every 3 hours, I drink 5 ounces. That's, again, I broke my gallon into 20-ounce bottle into 5 ounces every 3 hours. So we're breaking that down. We call that reverse engineering your life. Okay. Then the 4th thing is, so break the habit down into small pieces. Set a trigger. What's going to make me do this habit? Do the habit. And then number 4 is a reward. We need a little reward if that's checking off your box, because we need to have that dopamine hit to make our brain say, yes, this is a good habit. I like this. I get a sticker. I get an X mark. I get a smiley face in my box. Maybe you do like a little booty shake or a high five yourself or a little happy dance, whatever it is. We have to have that. I like a little physical celebration, because I feel like it connects my body to what's happening with the brain chemicals. Okay. That part is key for completing these habits and making you want to do them over and over. Okay. So I want you to think, you got some homework. We're going to spend some thinking time. What's your overarching goal for the next 3 months or 100 days? And you can even, take your big goal. We're going to be doing this in our goal setting workshop. It's live here in the gym, Friday night, January 8th, 5:30 p.m. Everybody's invited. Sign up in the app. I think it's in the app. I'm not sure. And we're going to be working on these goals for sure during that time. But I want you to start thinking about what's the big goal. We could take that big yearly goal and break it down into thirds every quarter. I know 100 days is a little more than 3 months, and then we're going to do our 100-day challenge. You're going to break that down into 3 segments. Okay. What's my first 30-day sprint, my second 30-day sprint, and my third 30-day sprint? And then the next 10 days, we're just going to do a special little, we're soaking it up. And we're doing all 3 habits and we're being awesome at it. And maybe we'll add a 4th habit to that. Okay. Maybe we'll add, I haven't even thought that last 10 days out, but maybe we'll do something that's kind of I don't know. We'll do something neat for the last 10 days, but that's how I want you to do. I want you to break it down. I want you to think of the obstacles. The obstacles will always take you down if you did not spend time thinking about them. And listen to your head when those obstacles come up. What are the excuses that tend to follow? Because that's very telltale. So we're going to talk about all these things. I want you guys, we're going to be asking you, what are your goals? In fact, we're going to write down your 30-day sprints here in the gym so everyone can see them. And we can check in. They'll be fresh of mind, so we know to remind you, you have a thing going. And we're going to be asking you so that we can help you dial in more specific goals and more specific habits and how to break those habits down and what might be the best steps for you to get there. Okay. So get ready. Use this week as Thinky Time week. Get yourself a little journal and start writing stuff down. What is it that you want from yourself in this coming year? I'm thinking about breaking it down into relationship, finances, business, and my health and fitness goals. But that's a lot. So I have to dial it in a little bit and see what makes sense. Okay, got to get to work. Bye.